Hi, I'm Granny, and we're going down the rabbit hole, or continuing down the rabbit hole, of William Terry Wells, his World War II experiences, episode 4. By sharing his stories, I hope to encourage others to take the time to learn about their family members who have served either in World War II or other conflicts. I believe we often learn how to be brave by the example of others, including the many others who never got a chance or were too traumatized to share their experiences. Here are some of the memories shared by my bolo necklace friend. My dad was originally trained to fly the P-61 Black Widow night fighter until it was phased out, and then he was switched to the C-47 transport. He goes on to share that as my dad's squadron was preparing for a mission to take paratroopers into mainland Europe, one of his pilot friends came to him saying he had a feeling he wouldn't make it back. Dad tried to cheer him up unsuccessfully. His friend was blown out of the sky by flak. The next story, Dad was known as Whoop Wells because when his plane would touch down, the tires hitting the tarmac would make a whoop sound. Dad was scheduled to fly a mission requiring him to take off in dense fog. Once they took off, after they were up in the air, they were told to abort the mission. Up in the air with no visibility, everyone recognized the fog was too thick. Nothing could be seen, no landmarks, nothing. My friend's letter included a diagram of what Dad did next. Dad decided to fly straight for 10 minutes, made a quarter turn, left, and flew for another 10 minutes. Took another quarter turn, flying then for 25 minutes. Another quarter turn, flying for 10 minutes. And then he decided, in the dense fog, with no visibility, to start to descend. After a bit, the wheels rumbled and then whooping as they landed safely. Whoop Wells earning his moniker. One of my favorite books is called Elephant Company, based on the diaries by James Howard Billy Williams, written by Vicki Constantine Croak. It is a story of how Billy wanted to get away from humans after World War I and chose a job in Burma in 1920 working for a British teak company. Burma is now known as Myanmar, the official name used by the United Nations and most countries. The military government of Myanmar stated the change was to create a more inclusive name that wasn't tied to a dominant ethnic group and to distance the country from its colonial past with Britain. That's another story to go down the rabbit hole on. Elephants were used to help transport the harvested teak trees, requiring Billy to become an expert elephant handler or a walla. A walla is a person or master who is an expert in handling, training, and caring for elephants. And what you learn in the book is so mind-blowing and helps create a greater love for these giant beasts we call elephants. Billy even established a school and hospital for elephants, advocating better treatment and understanding of elephants. Billy joined the British Elite Force 136 in 1942 when the Japanese invaded Burma. The Elite Force 136 was also known as the British Dirty Tricks Department, operating behind enemy lines. And that by itself is rather frightening. And I recommend the book. Actually, I've read it twice because it's so interesting. During this time, the Japanese recognized how dangerous Billy was to their efforts to conquer Burma and put a price on his head for the capture or murder of Billy. What is to me most remarkable was how sensitive, insightful, and some people might even use the word psychic these elephants were, as if they recognized the danger they were in and as they quietly transported people to safety. Billy commented several times how quietly the elephants could move through the jungle from a very short distance of the Japanese, and the Japanese never caught on, which was also essential for the escape from the Japanese. The escape through the jungles of Burma to the safety of India proved to be desperately risky. A journey hard to comprehend, traveling through dangerous ravines, deep ravines, perilously small paths along the sides of these canyons that the elephant's feet could hardly fit on, down frighteningly steep crevices to the mountain border of India. Billy Williams and his 45, now think of that, 45 elephants quietly moving through the forests/jungles in close proximity to the Japanese. Billy Williams and his 45 elephants escaped Burma in 1942. Billy and his elephants and their mahouts, which is an elephant rider, trainer, or keeper that has been used since antiquity for both civilian and military uses. So the elephants and the mahouts escaped with and saved 64 Gurkha women, families, and refugees from Japanese forces during that amazingly treacherous but successful trek into India. Another favorite story of mine about Dad was how upsetting living quarters in the barracks with a bunch of guys was for him. My dad was very careful. No matter where he was, his stuff was always very organized, tools listed, conveniently organized, papers, you name it. Dad was a very organized guy. And he hated when his stuff was being rummaged through, including personal things would go missing, including food from home. Another source of his irritation was nobody bothering to stoke the fire under the hot water heater. I don't know when was the last time you guys had a cold shower? Anyway, one day after coming home after a mission, discovering his private papers and food from home had been disturbed or stolen, my dad decided to go to his commanding officer to present him with an idea. Dad would clean out the closet where the hot water was located, move his bunk and private things into that closet, and become responsible in keeping the fire going under the hot water heater. The CO loved the idea, and that is what Dad did, including putting a lock on his door to his closet. His stepmom, Papa, sent him a fruitcake that he proudly was able to take a small piece of every day, making it last for more than a month. And I will share next time why we called my grandma Papa. I believe I have enough information for one more episode of Dad's World War II memories, which I will share next time in William Terry Wells, episode 5. Thanks for spending this time with me. Please join me next time when Granny goes down the rabbit hole. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.